Hello, this is Weird Cookies 56, and this is episode 4, I believe, of my modding tutorials. And today we will be doing tools, mainly swords. I mean, they're pretty similar, um, and 3D rendering for these items. Um, so let's get started. So the first thing we'll do is tools, because they're just going to be a lot quicker. So if we go over to I do not have it open. Well, um, let's get it open then. In our, where we've got our items, we will make, well, in fact, in our item class, if we want to make it a tool, we essentially just, it's pretty simple. Instead of extending item, we can extend item sword, but there's others like item pickaxe, but we'll be doing a sword. They're all very, very similar. The only thing we need to do is add an argument here, which is, I won't do that, I will add it here, which is a tool material. We'll just got mat, and then mat. So now we need to specify that in here. Now we could use one of the already existing tutorial tool material. We could use one of the already existing ones. So emerald, which is diamond, gold, iron, stone, or wood. But we're not going to do that. We'll make a custom one. If I go over to the, well, we'll get to that in a sec. I'm going to put it on the same line as this, but first need to make a public static tool material. And we'll call this tut mat, because that's just shorter. Import that. And then tut mat equals enum helper client dot add tool material. So this takes quite a few different ones. We can see here the arguments, but we can also, if we look in here, there's actually stuff. So here are all of the vanilla materials. You can see all the stuff. And in these comments it tells you what all these are. So the level that it can harvest. So like with pickaxes with obsidian, how diamond, which is 3, can harvest obsidian because it is 3. So there's that. Then we got the max uses, just the durability. You can see them here, and also here. And then we've got the efficiency. So what that means is the efficiency on the material it's meant to destroy. So like pickaxes, the efficiency on like stone and stuff. Damage, well, that's pretty obvious that what that does. It's damage. You can see gold and wood do 0, but that doesn't mean they do 0. It means they do 4, because by default everything does 4 plus whatever this is. So they'll do 4, which is 4 half hearts. So that would just be 2 hearts. The last thing is enchantability, which is just I'm not entirely sure if this if this is literally the level that you can enchant up to, but we'll set that to 30. So the name, that's kind of obvious what it's going to be. We'll just set this to the same name as our item, So it's just tut item. I might call it just tut mat. Why not? And my cat is meowing. I'm back in. Alright, sorry about that. So, harvest level. Harvest level we will set to 3. Why not? It's a sword. It's not really gonna matter. But if you have a full set of tools, you'll probably want to just have one material. But we've only got one item, and it's just going to be a sword, so it doesn't matter too much. So you probably, if you're going for a full set, design this for all of the tools, unless you want them to have different stuff. Max uses, we'll just, if you set that to -1, it makes it have infinite durability, but we'll just give it 100, because that's terrible, but who cares. Efficiency, well, if we look at tool material, what does each of these have? So you can see gold has super high efficiency, but it's absolutely terrible with durability. We'll just make it 6.0, because it's a float. Damage, because this is a sword, we'll make it kind of overpowered. We'll just do 10. Enchantability 30. I should probably make these floats as well. I believe all of those are floats. And that, are they all floats? Oh no, these are ints. Sorry about that. And the last one's an int. There we go. So that's the tool material. So what we just put here is our tut mat, and that makes it a sword pretty much. That is all you need to do. You can just change it from item sword to item pickaxe, item shovel, I think it is. Just any of the tools. Where are we? Here we are. So that is super simple. Now we'll do the 3D renders. So one thing we need to do first in our item class is to set it to full 3D. Type the right thing. Then we also need a model, which I have got up here. I'll be using my Wayward Wind model, and also I have made a folder for the texture called models. You can call this whatever you want, and the texture is called tutitem.png. So that would be important. We need to know that path, because that's what we will be using for the model. So with our model, we need to export it as Java, and then we need to go over to our source, and we'll be probably, I think I might make a new package for this, so let's do that now, and we'll put it in client. We'll make a new one called client, because this is client side, and we'll call it models. While I'm at it, I'll make a new one called renders, because we will be rendering as well. So we will put this in the models bit, and we'll call this model tut item. And now I should also mention, I have done a tutorial on how to do 3D modeling quite a long time ago, but it's still is exactly the same. Nothing's changed. Technically hasn't updated in I don't know how long, but it doesn't need to be updated. The only thing that's a little bit outdated is this, but we can change it. So first of all, we'll just get rid of these comments because we don't need them. And then I will Control A, Control I to indent it correctly. And the package needs to be changed to our package. And we need to import a bunch of stuff. So make sure it's the net.minecraft.entity.entity. And that should all be good. Now make sure this is also the same as your class name, well, just the file name, sorry. And then you can just change that. Now most of the errors should be fixed. The only problem is, well, there might be an error if you see all these shapes. If one of these have the same name as the as another, it will create kind of a pretty annoying problem where it tries to do the same thing for two shapes. It just doesn't go well. Just make sure all your shapes are called different things. Mine are just called shape because, well, I didn't really bother naming them. So what we need to add here is a new argument, which is just entity, and we'll just call that ent, and then need to add ent, and then we need to add entity here. And that is all the errors in the model gone. So now we can get to rendering it, which we will do in here. And we will make a new item renderer, which we will call item renderer tut item. And what we need to do is implement item renderer. I always forget the S, I don't know why. Implements, that's what we want. And then we'll need to add a couple of methods. We'll also add a constructor, and we will get rid of all of these auto-generated things. Now what we need to do first is get our model, so we'll make a protected model. We could probably, yeah, there it is. And we'll just call this model because it's just easier. Then model equals new model tut item. Now in the handle render type, there's a couple of different render types we can do, but we are going to make a switch, and we're going to switch the type, and then case. Now you can see all the different ones here. Entity, so when it's like on the floor. Equipped, when it like in third person. First person, when it's equipped. So the rendering it when you're in first person view. When you're in third person view, it's just equipped. Then first person map. I think that's, yeah, that's most of the time you're probably not going to bother with that. That's just for when you've got a map. And then inventory, so what it appears like in your inventory. We're not going to do that, we're just going to have the icon. But you can use that, but we're not. So, case equipped, and case equipped first person, return true. And we want a default, return false. We shouldn't need that. and that's all good for that. We don't want to use the render helper. And in here, this is where we will be doing our rendering. So we will switch the type again. Now, obviously, you could have it you could make it render differently in first person, third person, but with this model, we do not need to do that at all. But we could if we wanted to. So we're gonna do case equipped should be it. Yep. Now, if you didn't know, with cases, if you have two, like if you have them all in a row with nothing underneath, everything that you do inside, like after the last case, will be for all of these cases. So with that, case equipped and case equipped first person, they both return true. Which is quite useful because it means you don't have to repeat yourself for every case. Now, first thing we want to do, because we are rendering with OpenGL, we need to do gl11.gl push matrix, and we will be doing gl11.gl pop matrix. Now, in between these two, this is where we want to do rendering. Everything outside will not work. We need to do it inside this. So I will make, yeah, that's good. So we're gonna bind a texture now. So just do Minecraft get Minecraft dot render engine dot bind texture, and this takes a resource location. You could do this in two ways. You can either make a new resource location separate, but we're just going to do it inside here. If you want to make the line a bit shorter, you can do it outside. New resource location, and there's two ways of doing it. You can either do your mod ID and then the path separated with a comma, or you can have your mod ID with a colon and then put the path all in one string. But we're going to do it separately just because it's easier. Well, I like it. You don't have to do the colon then. So we want reference dot mod ID colon, and then what we want here is textures. So it's got to be inside your textures. We want to use a forward slash. Yeah, it's a forward slash. And then models. Was it models or was it model? It was models. And then tut item. Make sure you put the file extension .png or whatever. I'm pretty sure you need to have PNGs. You might be able to use other image formats. I never really thought about that. I just always use PNGs. So we need to import that, and that is the texture binded. So everything underneath here will use that texture that uses a texture. So there's a couple of things you can do before you render your model, such as rotating and scaling and translating. I have got everything up on my other screen that I need for this model, because it's very specific to each model depending on how you've modeled it and stuff. I'll be showing you how you can easily do that, but we will be doing the three things you'll probably be using: GL, rotate F or D. D is for doubles and F is for floats. So it just takes the angle, and then if you want to do it on X, make it 1. If you want to do it on Y, make it 1. If you want to do it on the Z, make it 1. Otherwise, you make it 0. So you could have your angle and then have 1, 1, 1, and it will rotate on all three axes. So there's that. Then we've got GL translate F or D, and that's just the amount in the X, Y, or Z coordinate. And then scale, you probably are going to want to scale it in all three if you just make it bigger. But if you want to stretch it in one axis, you'll do that. So they're the three things you'll be using probably. I can't really see any use for the others. You might use some other things, but it's unlikely. And then to render it, well, first I will get my positioning. So I'll just copy that. So I haven't scaled it in this model, but you might need to if you've made it too big or you made it too small. Depends. But if you want to make it bigger, though, if you do GL scale F, if you just do 1, it will just be the same. So like 1.5 will double the size. So that's how you do that. But we'll get to how I got these values kind of quickly. But now we want to do model, so that, whatever you called it, dot render. And it takes a couple of things. The first thing we will do is, that is so annoying. We're casting this to an entity, and it is the data parameter with 1. Now this, I am not entirely sure exactly what the parameters are, as there's no description of what they are. All I know is that this works, and you really don't need to worry about it because it's just making it a render. But I do believe that is the entity that it's rendering for, so it stays with the ARM when it import the right entity. And then these are for animations and stuff, but the last thing we have here is 0.0625f. Just make sure it's exactly that. Seems a bit weird, but it works, and that is everything. I think we need to add a default. Yes, we do. And just do that. Default break. Now the last thing we need to do before we can actually get this to appear is to go into our proxies. We need to go on our client proxy, and we're actually going to be using this Minecraft Forge client dot register item renderer. So this is only for items, and we are rendering for our tut item, so that's just specify the item, and then new item renderer tut item. And now we will go take a look at the item. So it should be a sword. Well, it should have some properties of a tool, but you could call it a sword because it is extending a sword. That's essentially what it is, and it should do 14 attack damage, I believe, on the tooltip, because we set it as 10 and it adds 4. I'm not sure if what that has to do with anything, but it does just add 4 for some reason. So now, if we look, we have the smiley face icon, but we have this model. Now, it's like right where it needs to be on the hand. Yours won't be if you haven't done any of the rotating or anything. It could be in any position. But if we look here, you can see plus 14 attack damage. So this now works like a sword. And this is in a really horrible FOV. I really don't like low FOV. We'll just spawn a mob like something that has quite a lot of health. Enderman. Perfect. So you can see that killed it in 3 hits, which is pretty good because Endermen have like 40 HP, so that's like 20 hearts. So that's pretty good. Okay, so that is almost everything for this tutorial. I think that's been pretty quick compared to some of my other tutorials. We got one last thing though. I will show you how you can easily get your model in the right position. So if you see here next to the run client, we have debug client. So if we run that, it just starts up like normal Minecraft, but there is a difference. If we start up the game, now obviously you probably wouldn't do this if you already have them in the right position, but we will change stuff. So let's say you've got, I'll just comment out this. So if I comment out that and save, it's actually changed. So now it's in the complete wrong position. So you can have the game running while you change the code. Now you can't change everything, and don't save with an error or it will crash. So just make sure you have no errors when you save while it's running. So if I save that again, we can see it's back in the right position. So you just gotta mess around with this, hope you get the right values, and it's just a bit of trial and error, but you can get it to work eventually. Now I'll quickly show you what you can do with scaling. So if we just make this 2, and I save that, you can see this is absolutely massive now. If you want to make it smaller, obviously you do 0 point something. So we could do 0.1, and that's going to make it tiny. Let's see, can you even see it? Yeah, you can, just I can't see it. What? I don't think you'll be able to see it in first person. Oh no, you can. You can see that. It's probably quite hard to see on the video, but you can just about see it. But that is everything for this tutorial. In the next tutorial we will do, I think we might do GUIs. So we might not. I don't know. I'll decide. So see you in the next tutorial. Goodbye.